after all these years, to be going back to where it all started. Back to the Matrix.
I'm here, ladies and gentlemen, to confirm something for you, and I'm sorry I have to be the one to say it. Someone does have to say it. The Matrix 4 Resurrections is indeed the Last Jedi of the Matrix franchise. I know. I don't want to be the one who had to break it to you, and I'm sorry to all you great Matrix fans out there who somehow have not made time to see this movie, now available in theaters and HBO Max. Maybe you're holding out hope, but this is going to restore the Matrix franchise to its former greatness. No, this is a mess. This is a big old mess. This is a situation where I have to argue that this movie should not have been made for any reason, not in the form that it is. This is a perfect example of what happens when Hollywood just wants money and doesn't care about story or, you know, the idea of a saga having a proper conclusion, and just go, yeah, I know they all died in the last one. Can you bring them back so we can put them on mugs and Funko Pops again? It's honestly depressing to see storytelling being led by this corporate greed. And I am surprised that Lana Wachowski, director, went along with it. I don't know if she went along with it out of her own greed or if she really was convinced that there was a way to do this right, but I think she was sorely mistaken. This movie is a nightmare, and I want to talk about why. But before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe, not only here, but to my new channel, Vito 2, where we're talking about all sorts of pop culture topics. If you like hearing from your boy Vito, I want you to go check out my new channel. Tons of fun over there. But let's get into the review. There will be spoilers. Be warned. Spoilers incoming. Let's get into it. All right, so real quick, I want to break down what this movie is about, which is hard because it's a Matrix movie and they're always way too complicated. But here's what's at the core of it. As you've likely guessed from all the trailers and posters and promo material, Neo is not dead, nor is Trinity. They're both alive and trapped in the Matrix again. Okay. Fine, we're doing the same thing we already did with the other movies. Why are they back in the Matrix? Well, it's so stupid and I really hate it. After Neo did his glorious self-sacrifice in the original trilogy, the robots, or a rogue robot, they grabbed his corpse and they grabbed her corpse and they tortured them. They tortured the crap out of them. And in doing so, figured out how to hook them back into the Matrix, brought them back to life. And now there's a new Matrix, run by Neil Patrick Harris.
We don't want anyone to get hurt, do we, Thomas?
I mean, I'm sure this sounded smart when the Wachowski lady came up with it. This new Matrix is based on the concept of desire and fear. So I did not come up with this, so as stupid as it sounds, as cringy as it sounds, I'm not responsible for this. The idea that you want something really bad, but you're also afraid of losing what you got.
Quietly yearning for what you don't have, while dreading losing what you do. For 99.9% of your race, that is the definition of reality. Desire and fear, baby.
And that is represented by the corpses, or reanimated corpses, of Neo and Trinity, which the Matrix now has hooked up in a big chamber next to each other. So all of the power of the Matrix is the idea that you want somebody, I mean, let's be clear, you want to somebody, you want to Trinity, but you can't, because your pods aren't next to each other. And also in this new Matrix, she's got like a new husband and fake robot kids.
Hey, you trying to ball my mom or what?
Brandon.
Can I have one?
So in this universe, Neo, Keanu Reeves, is reverted back to the role of Thomas Anderson, except now he's a game programmer. And I'm sure every review, if you watch any other review, you know this stupid tidbit. He has programmed a video game trilogy called The Matrix.
Inside, you'll find the breakdown, including key word association with the brand. The top two being originality and fresh, which I think are great things to keep in mind as you begin working on Matrix 4. And who knows how many more.
A video game which is just made up of movie scenes from the original Matrix movie. It's not a video game, it's clearly a movie. I don't know why didn't they make him a film director? I thought it would have been really cool if they used scenes from the Matrix video game and said, yeah, he programmed this trilogy of Matrix games. But instead they show film footage which makes literally no sense. It's not his memories, because his memories aren't in, third person shot on film stock, and it's clearly not scenes from his video game. So when they keep projecting all these scenes from the original movie, it makes no narrative sense whatsoever. And you could say it's like meta and bold or whatever else. I just think it's really stupid. Because it was not a terrible explanation that he has all these memories of the Matrix. How does he contextualize them? Oh, that's a video game I made. And I made the character look like myself. And I made the girl character look like this chick I have a crush on at the coffee shop. Okay, whatever. I mean, at least that makes sense. But then you should have went the extra step and actually created either A, fake game, or B, just used footage from the awesome PS2 Xbox game, which would have fit in perfectly. Now, there's a bunch of other stuff that's too complicated to explain quickly. Basically, there's a new Morpheus that Neo programmed as an amalgam of the original Morpheus and Agent Smith, so that would arise the suspicion of people from the Zion, but it's a new Zion, and they break him out of the Matrix, whatever. It's a long, stupid thing. All you need to know is that Neo starts off the movie, he's a dumb computer programmer who's convinced the Matrix was a thing he made up. And then they break him out and he goes, oh my God, it was real all along. And now the movie is all about, oh, but she's in the Matrix too. She's still there.
When you unplugged me, there was another pod.
Yes. We've analyzed the data. It could be Trinity.
The opening of the movie is this big, intense, frantic thing to get Neo out of the Matrix, right? To save him, which they do. And the second half of the movie is to do the exact same thing. They're like, we got to get Trinity out. And you're like, bitch, you were there. She was right there across from Neo. Why didn't you get them both in one go?
Trinity.
I know that the movie says, like, oh, we didn't know she was there. And, but still, it feels really weird to have the movie be the same plot twice. Got to get Neo out. Okay, we did it. Now we got to get Trinity out. All right, let's do that. So basically, they go to New Zion. They learn about everything that's been happening. They meet up. Niobe's old now. Morpheus is dead. Whatever. Make a big dumb plan to get Trinity out of the Matrix. And what the plan basically boils down to is, first of all, I mean, they have to get her out of the pod. I never understand these movies where it's like, these two pods are running your entire Matrix. Why don't you put like a couple security cameras in that room in case anybody swoops in and tries to rip them out of the pods? The machines are the dumbest machines in the world. They have never thought. They're like, let's build 1 million flying eyeballs to patrol the skies. And you go, well, did you put some of them in that room with those pods? And they're like, shit, that would have been smart. Because without them, the Matrix collapses. We probably should have put some cameras in there. Whatever, the Matrix, the machines are dumb as hell. But I guess what it comes down to is that Neo has to go into the Matrix and get Trinity to decide to leave the Matrix, which is so anticlimactic to me. They build it up like it's this huge big thing, like maybe Trinity won't want to leave.
If she tells me this is what she wants, you win.
Really?
Maybe she's committed to living in the Matrix now. And I'm like, are you guys kidding me? This is the stupidest. What are you talking about? Of course she's going to leave the Matrix. Like, the movie's core dilemma is whether or not Trinity is going to decide to stay with her fake robot kids or go live as a god with her true love. There's no decision there. It's like already been made. It would have been one thing if the movie had given us like some reason why she's so committed to these robot kids. But we literally just see him like once in a coffee shop, and she's like, oh, there's some of my kids and my husband.
Babe, we gotta get Callie to practice.
Right. Sorry. Come on, kids, let's move out.
Oh, yeah, I guess she's really gonna pick them over, again, escaping from the illusion she lives in to be with her true lover from across time, and they've survived death together. There's no conflict there. There's no drama. The only dilemma is, are they gonna survive the big fight at the end? And they do, and she learns how to fly, whatever. It's a whole thing. Okay, so that's the basic plot. Neo and Trinity break out of the Matrix. It's kind of like a very self-contained story. It feels like it doesn't even have broader ramifications for the Matrix universe. It's like, okay, I guess this version of the Matrix is going to break down and they're going to make it happy again. Why wouldn't you want to build up like a new exciting war between the machines and whatever else? Because the only machine they're fighting seems to be this Neil Patrick Harris guy, and now he's defeated and I guess they won again. I don't know. The stakes were not clear to me. This is clearly, it's not very epic. It's really just the Neo and Trinity story. But here's where it drives me nuts, and here's why I really thought about it. I'm like, this is basically the same as both The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, making the same mistakes that I saw in those two films. Scraps, stop interrupting my reviews. Why do you interrupt my reviews? Did you like the new Matrix movie? Did you? No, you did not. Scraps didn't like it either. Now, as I've talked about before, one of the biggest problems I have with The Last Jedi is that you are undercutting the whole Luke Skywalker narrative. When you have an epic film trilogy, either The Matrix or Star Wars, okay, we look at how it ends. And in the case of Star Wars, it ends with Luke Skywalker's won a great battle over the Empire, over the dark side, whatever else, over the Emperor, okay? And he lost so much. He lost his father, he lost comrades, he lost his two mentors, Yoda, Obi-Wan. And because of that, because of his sacrifice, but he is rewarded with the ultimate triumph over evil. And following that, you go, well, yeah, and now he's going to get his reward of some sort. The universe is at peace. That's the reward he ultimately wanted. And we're also going to assume he's going to go on and have his own Jedi school, and, you know, he's restored balance to the universe. The Last Jedi and the sequel trilogy as a whole undercut that, because defeating the Empire meant nothing, because immediately the First Order comes back, so that was a waste of time. Luke doesn't end up getting any sort of reward, like, hey, you know, you're a great Jedi Master. Whatever. No, you end up a miserable old man. All your students are dead. All your friends are dead. Han's dead. His sister dies. He dies. Why fight the dark side? Why? What's the point? Wasn't he supposed to be rewarded? When you do something selfless, when you sacrifice yourself, okay, when you devote your training and manage to overcome the lure of the dark side, I think the idea is that if he had just gone to the dark side, he would have had the power to do whatever he wanted, and he would have been able to, all this trauma and pain, you can just wash it away and just be a dark jerk. He said, no, I'm going to stay on the side of good because that's what matters. And ultimately, I will have the final reward, even though it's going to be a harder path to get there. I will have saved the galaxy, brought peace to the galaxy, and hopefully live a pretty good life myself. Instead, the galaxy is just still at endless war, and Luke has gotten nothing. And that's, it undercuts the trilogy. You go watch the original trilogy, and you're like, oh, look at this farm boy. He's trying real hard to fight the Emperor. Well, that doesn't matter. That's a waste of time. Why are you training at all? It's not going to matter. There's going to be a new empire in 40 years, so you should have just stayed with this one. You can't do that. When you have a story that very, very clearly shows that what the character did, it was an arc. Goes from left to right, an arc. It was a character arc and a story arc that said, you know, he sacrificed it all and he got where he was going. You don't come back 20, 40 years later and you go, nope, it was useless, waste of everybody's time.
I came to this island to die. It's time for the Jedi to end.
Well, now you've just ruined the original trilogy, because anytime you go watch it, the stakes are stupid. Destroying the Emperor and the Empire are no longer important. It's a waste of everyone's time. And that's kind of what we get here in The Matrix Resurrections.
It feels like everything I did, everything we did, like none of it mattered.
Now, at the end of the original Matrix, it was that the machines and the humans were going to be at peace. There would still be a Matrix, but people who wanted to leave the Matrix could if they wanted to. It was like a peace between them. And you have a little bit of that still. Like, there's still a human city, and there's still, you know, a fractured peace. It's not perfect or whatever else.
Zion was stuck in the past, stuck in war, stuck in a matrix of its own. They believed that it had to be us or them. This city was built by us and them.
So sure, I guess Neo got some rewards for his self-sacrifice, but we also see, and this I thought was the worst part of this whole narrative, is that immediately after his self-sacrifice, he got tortured like crazy. Because it would have been one thing if they said that we took his corpse and we brought it back to life and we plugged it back in. And we would have been like, okay, well that, you know, kind of sucks and isn't probably what he would have wanted. But it's not necessarily a punishment. He did come back to life. Here it is very clearly a punishment. Neo is being punished for saving the world by getting the shit tortured out of him and then getting plugged into a torture simulator that keeps him separated from his true love. You're like, well, that sucks. Again, you're undercutting the moral of the original. The original was that Neo was this Jesus-like figure, a Messiah, the one. Okay? And when Jesus dies, I hate to say it, you keep him dead. There is no Bible 2 where Jesus comes back and does more stuff and gets a girlfriend.
Oh, the Son of God! You sure are a son of a... Whoa!
Passion of the Christ 2. Crucify this.
You don't do that. If you're story, and The Matrix very clearly was like drawing on biblical inspiration. It was supposed to be like this weird Bible retelling where when Neo explodes, it's a cross, okay? Like, we get it. They hit you over the head with the allegories. So why would you go, yeah, but no, it's really not about the Messiah journey anymore. Now it's about him, and he really wants to bang his girlfriend. And not only that, but he has to get tortured like a motherfucker because that's his reward for sacrificing himself to save everyone. I mean, I guess Jesus was tortured, but they tortured him and then they killed him. They didn't kill him, then torture him more, and then bring him back to life. This is a bad Jesus allegory, Wachowski. You really dropped the ball here. The other element of this is this idea that when you have this story arc that has a central villain, okay, when that villain dies, that's it. That's it. It's a triumph over evil. The villain is dead and gone. That was the climax of the movie, was Smith fighting Neo, Neo allowing himself to be destroyed, allowing himself to be sacrificed, which ultimately destroyed his greatest villain. Okay, and that's it. That story is done. The story of Agent Smith has been told. This movie says Agent Smith's back. He's got a new body. He's kind of like Neo's friend now, or like frenemy. Like, they help each other out.
Here our unexpected alliance ends.
No! You know what that would be like? That would be like if you had a movie like Star Wars, you know, and then, you know, you kill the Emperor. That would be like if you brought the Emperor back, right?
Somehow Palpatine returned.
If after killing the Emperor, the great, you know, manifestation of evil in this universe that represents the finality of that trilogy, if you just brought him back for no reason, it would be like that.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Can you imagine how pissed people would be if you brought back the Emperor?
Somehow Palpatine returned.
For no reason? Because you couldn't think of a different threat? You had to... Oh my God! What are you doing? Why would you do that?
Mr. Anderson!
Somehow Palpatine returned.
And ultimately, that is what drives me nuts about this movie, and a lot of these reboots in general, is that they take a story which is clearly done. Okay? The Matrix trilogy had a beginning, middle, and end. It was fine. And you know what? When characters die, they should stay dead. They really should. If death has no ramifications in your universe, you need a really good reason why. And if you need to write around it, you can. Okay, if you really need... If Warner Brothers comes to you... It's actually funny. They have a line in the movie where they're... Neo's company is being forced to make a fourth Matrix game. And they're like, Warner Brothers is forcing us to do this.
I'm sure you can understand why our beloved parent company, Warner Brothers, has decided to make a sequel to the trilogy.
What?
They informed me they're going to do it with or without us.
I thought they couldn't do that.
Oh, they can.
Okay, well, if that's the truth, if they were forcing you to make it, and if you didn't make it, they were going to write it without you, just convince them, okay, we're not going to just bring Neo back to life because he's dead. He had his hero's journey, hero's sacrifice at the end. It's a perfect closed loop. We're not going to open it back up. We can bring him back in a couple different ways. He could be a ghost who shows up and guides, you know, like some remnant of his code is still in the Matrix and he can guide them that way. Or it could be a clone. They cloned his body so he doesn't have the memories of the original Neo, but he has, you know, maybe some of the memories and whatever. There's ways to do it. You don't just say, yeah, remember when Jesus died? Jesus is coming back to life. I know Jesus does come back to life, but he immediately goes to heaven and you never see him again. And this one, Jesus comes back to life and then goes on a quest to save his girlfriend. It's stupid. It's nonsense. This is not how you do that. So ultimately, I did not like this movie on a thematic level. I don't like the theme of you're the savior of humanity, sacrifice it all, and now we're going to bring you and your girlfriend back to life, and you guys get to fly around and kiss each other. It feels silly to me. It feels like a stain on the franchise. When you have that great trilogy, why would you undercut it in any way? You should stay as far away from it as possible. But whatever. The rest of the movie, I don't know. It's interesting to watch some of the fight stuff. Some of the CG looks cool. I think it's worth watching. Like, I'd put it on, watch it, and just kind of turn your brain off. But in terms of its overall impact on the Matrix franchise, it is like a Last Jedi, where I would have to tell people, just don't think of it as canon.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Think of it as very expensive fan fiction. Because if it becomes canon, I think that it destroys what was at the heart of the originals. It undercuts the whole self-sacrifice narrative. And I don't know why you do that. I don't know why people keep falling in this trap. If you're going back to the franchise, leave dead people dead. Make sure your heroes got their reward, that what they got, you know, is lasting and memorable. And don't just be like, whatever, we need more money, so it doesn't matter. Everybody comes back to life. Everything is all the same. There's still the Matrix. There's still the machine. Nothing has changed. And it makes the original trilogy meaningless. The same way The Last Jedi and that whole sequel trilogy made the original battle against the Empire and the Emperor look useless. It's a waste of everybody's time. Stop doing it. Anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on The Matrix. Maybe I'm all over the place. I don't know. This is just a mess. It's a mess of a movie. But let me know. Maybe you had a different take. Maybe you liked it. Maybe you think this is a bold step forward in storytelling to take characters where the entire plot was building towards their death and then bring them back to life for no reason. I don't know, man. I don't like it. I think it's weak storytelling. I think it's a cop-out. I think it's a cash grab. But let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to my new channel, Vito 2. We got a button right there. Click that button with my fancy head. And I'll see you guys soon. See you guys inside the Matrix, you know, and we can all hang out and have different colored hair and go on adventures. Whatever. I don't care.